Welcome back to Game 2 between the Tampa Spartans and the Caldwell Cougars. I'm Bruce Wozniak alongside Taylor Stolworthy as UT looks to stretch their winning streak to, wow, what would be an amazing 19 consecutive victories. And this comes on the heels of having won Game 1 of this doubleheader by a score of 11-0. And Taylor, Spartans not taking the Cougars lightly. They are going with the ace, Mariah Galehouse, in the pitching circle.
Yeah, I mean, you're spoiled for choice if you're Coach Cantor. You could go with McGinnis. You could go with Galehouse. Elects to go with the latter, the two-way superstar, making what will be her 10th appearance, her 9th start of the season, has gone the distance 6 times this year with 3 shutouts, boasting an incredible 0.67 ERA, only 25 strikeouts in 52 innings, but only 3 walks surrendered and only a 2.02 batting average against. She has been almost unhittable this season, and it's not going to be easy for Caldwell to get back to work on offense.
So officially, a 22-1 Spartans team taking on an 0-8 Caldwell team, and the first pitch of the game is bounced foul. Mariah Galehouse, as we just mentioned, the starting pitcher for the Spartans here in Game 2. This was a scheduled doubleheader, and it is just an absolutely beautiful afternoon for softball here in West Central Florida, as the official temperature for the start of Game 2 is 75 degrees.
Yeah, beautiful weather here in the spring for softball. Not humid at all. Very nice and warm temperature, and a clear sky on top of that.
The leadoff hitter for the Cougars is Mackenzie Nacional. The count 1-2 against her here. And right to Galehouse. And a routine ground out to start Game 2. Over at first base for the Spartans in Game 2 is Abby Salt. And this brings up Grace Vondrachek. Fouls that one back.
Looking at the Caldwell lineup, they've made a couple of changes. We see Juju Gonsalves and Maddie Makotsky getting the starts today, but also at the bottom of the order, Jessica Klein, who was started on the bench but entered the game as a pinch hitter, also moves to the starting lineup.
Nice pitch there by Galehouse that fooled Vondrachek. Starts off showing bunt, does the Caldwell batter, and now comes back and watches that one go outside for a ball.
In the previous offering, that absolutely beautiful changeup from Galehouse that has so little velocity.
And a strikeout. Down goes Vondrachek. You saw her kind of lean back. Finds the strike zone nonetheless. And 2 outs for the Cougars here in the top of the first.
And just went right back to it. The bread and butter for Galehouse is a very solid fastball that she combines with that absolutely vicious changeup that if you start to move just a fraction when that thing is coming towards you, it'll just freeze you and put you on a highlight reel.
And then blew a fastball by Brooke Martin, and now the 0-1 is fouled down the third base line. Brooke Martin, the Cougars' first base player. And if she can reach base in the on-deck circle is Lindsay Aller, who was 2 for 2 in Game 1. However, a little pop out to Galehouse, and the top of the first is over. No runs, no hits, no Spartan errors, and no Cougar runners left on base. We'll be back with the Spartans half of the first after this on TampaSpartans.tv. Back here at the Namoli Family Stadium, Haley Fisher, who we saw come on in relief in Game 1, is the starting pitcher here in Game 2 for Caldwell, as Lauren Fantone gets set to lead off against her here in the bottom of the first.
Yeah, Fisher had a good outing last time, threw an inning in the circle, and, they're deciding to give her a chance for her second start of her season.
Her first pitch to Fantone, and that's up high for ball 1. And Fantone gets underneath that one and caught out in center field for out number 1 by Freshie. And it's a good thing I didn't say it. I was about to refer to Lauren Fantone as reliable. Get him next time, Lauren. As center fielder Lily Keister to the batter's box. Her usual number 2 spot in Leslie Cantor's batting order. And the first pitch to her is going to be out of play. A couple of Cougars players giving chase there.
Keister is coming off a 2-hit performance earlier today. Also brought home a run while she did so. And got the lone stolen base for the Spartans, now having 9 on the season.
And now the 0-1 to Lily. Takes ball 1. The umpires have switched. Brian Seraphin behind home plate for this game. And Christopher Wirt in the infield. And Keister bounces that one, fielded nicely, and over to first for out number 2. That is a change defensively for Caldwell. They had Sam Dodonna as their second base player in Game 1. And this time they make a change at that position, as that's Vondracek playing second this time around.
Yeah, Vondracek last time was a designated player, but now moves back to the infield.
In the meantime, this is the Spartans catcher, Kenna Kreidler, going against Haley Fisher, who's off to a nice little start here in the bottom of the first. Way outside. Count even at 1-1. Fisher, as you mentioned, Taylor, I believe, has to be coming in with a little bit of confidence. The performance that she showed us in relief in Game 1, as the count goes to 2-1.
Yeah, she entered the final inning, got 3 straight outs with 2 ground outs and a pop out, and hasn't slowed down since with an early fly out and pop out.
And that's outside for ball 3. As things turn in Kenna Kreidler's favor. Fisher ready with the 3-1, and that's going to go out of play as Kreidler sends that one up on top of the Spartans dugout. So the count full now. Base is empty. Pitch on the way. And Kreidler thought she drew the walk, and instead Fisher gets the strikeout. So the Spartans are retired in order in the bottom of the first. So nothing to report on the scoreboard through 1. We'll be back with the top of the second after this on TampaSpartans.tv. The 4, 5, and 6 hitters for Caldwell, starting off the top of the second. Scoreless. It was 1-0 UT at this point in the last game before they really broke it up in the bottom of the second. And the leadoff hitter this inning is Lindsay Aller, who, Taylor, we talked about, had herself a nice first game despite her team coming out on the wrong end of a lopsided score.
Yeah, it wasn't the greatest of days in the field, had a couple of missed throws, but did record 2 of the 4 base hits for Caldwell, getting some early offense even when it didn't seem like anyone else could figure out how to get a hit past DeSimone, and even late, very few people could get hits past Winters. Aller just very consistent at the plate earlier.
Mariah Galehouse needed just 11 pitches in the first inning, and her first pitch here in the top of the second is strike 1. And Aller takes ball 1. Lindsay Aller, who actually will also play first base, watches that one outside for ball 2. And now the 2-1 coming. Aller bounces that one, fielded nicely, and unassisted Abby Salt at first for out number 1.
Good turnaround by Salt. She wasn't really sure if Reynolds was going to be there to cover her, but had plenty of time to turn and beat Aller to the base.
Emily Tavaska, Cougars shortstop. Excuse me, there. I'm saying her sister. I'm saying 4 instead of 9. That was Ashley. And now some problems on the base pads here.
1-4.
And Ashley Tavaska is tagged out.
Yeah, that's unfortunate for Tavaska. Gets on board with a single. Notices the Spartans are slow to bring it back to the circle, so she says, don't mind if I do. Tries to steal second, but Tampa was ready, and Galehouse was able to notice just
Tampa
in time.
says not in our ballpark.
No YouTube highlight reel for heads-up base running for Tavaska, unfortunately. It does, however, prevent any whispers of a perfect game from being started for Galehouse.
And that's where the other sister's going to say, make sure you do say the right sister's name because I don't want to be associated with poor base running. Swing and a miss. This is Maddie Matkoski. 1 ball, 2 strikes to the number 6 hitter, the designated player for the Cougars. Way up high that time from Galehouse.
Matkoski's a freshman utility infielder, 5'2" from Horseheads.
Nicely hit ball by Matkoski, and the inning stays alive for the Cougars in the top of the second.
By the way, as part of this Caldwell team, Matkoski is one of 3 players that are nursing majors. That is her, sophomore Rihanna Sparandero, and then freshman Amanda Preston.
Catcher Juju Gonsalves batting now for Caldwell. Strike 1, 2 outs in the top of the second, scoreless game. Swings, pops it up, and caught by Kenna Kreidler for out number 3. The Cougars, no runs on 2 hits. There are no errors. And we are through 1.5. Still looking for the game's first run. Back with more softball after this on TampaSpartans.tv. Bottom of the second for the Spartans, as we will see the 4, 5, and 6 hitters, Galehouse, Russo, and Abby Salt. Mariah Galehouse, yes, the starting pitcher for the Spartans. And ready to go here against Haley Fisher. And the first pitch is ball 1. The Spartans looking for their first hit of the game. Cougars with 2 up on the board in that column. And that one's in the dirt. Gonsalves, the catcher. A couple of words for her starting pitcher, Haley Fisher.
Fisher had a really good first inning, getting 3 quick outs against 3 strong Spartan batters. You know, the previous inning, Fisher was able to benefit from a couple of pinch hitters. Wasn't the exact Spartan starting order, but here, Fantone, Keister, and Kreidler, the 3 best players for getting on base to start the game, all weren't able to get aboard from the freshman from Smyrna, New York.
Gonsalves had a few words with her pitcher, Haley Fisher, and at the same time, the 2 umpires used the opportunity to have a little conversation. And now Galehouse, who's ahead in the count, 2-0. Next pitch on the way to her. And make that 4-0. I'm sorry, it was 3 balls, no strikes at the time. And so Galehouse draws the base on balls on 4 consecutive pitches, which is something that we saw a couple times in the first game from Jaden Hill, the Cougars starting pitcher.
Yeah, and that one, I'm not sure if that was intentional or not. Just, I think, a little bit of missed command there from Fisher. You have to now face Russo, is going to drop a bunt.
And bobbled Aller, and everybody's going to be safe. So Alexa Russo aboard, and that moves Galehouse over to second.
No, but so did the sack BU, though.
That is a surprising play there for the Spartans. You know, when you enter a game as the opponent, you don't think that Russo's the type of player that'll be called upon to lay down a sacrifice bunt, but she does so perfectly, catching Aller off guard. Aller sort of bobbles, doesn't have time for the out at first, although Gales was a little slow back to the bag at second, almost was thrown out there.
But Taylor, with the way this season has gone for the Spartans, as we've talked about, 18 wins in a row, a 22-1 one-loss record, you just get those kind of breaks, and that's not the first time that we've seen a Spartans hitter lay down what's supposed to be a sacrifice bunt, only to end up safe after all. As there's another pitch to Abby Salt that's outside for a ball, so at least 6 consecutive pitches for a ball by Haley Fisher all of a sudden.
Yeah, and the one that was opening the at-bat against Russo with the bunt was about to miss inside as the count goes 2-1. She finally finds a strike. But definitely not great to start with 6 straight outside offerings, so important to not fall behind 3-0.
Nobody out, runners on first and second. Fisher's 2-1 to Abby Salt and gets her to swing and miss, and the count is even, and now Fisher battling back.
That's an important whiff there for Fisher as well.
Yeah, and if you're head coach Lindsay Mayer, you got to love seeing your freshman battle back this way from 6 consecutive balls to all of a sudden back-to-back strikes, and the count goes even. As you see Salt follow that one back to the screen.
Yeah, Fisher was very strong throughout high school. Had the Central State was part of the Central State All-Conference team, 2023-2024 All-CNY All-Star team too.
Nice ride. That Salt gives that one, but it's caught out in center field by Freshie, and such that the runners will hold. Russo still at first, Galehouse still at second. And importantly for the Cougars, they do get the first out of this bottom of the second. And that'll bring up Devin Hammonds, playing right field in this game. One of the lineup changes for Leslie Cantor here in Game 2 of the doubleheader.
Interesting to see Hammonds get the start over Joey Trewick in right field.
Nice bunt and not fielded cleanly enough by Fisher, and that's going to load the bases. A very close call over at first, and Hammonds is aboard. And this with just one out in the bottom of the second, and now we're going to see Cougars head coach Lindsay Mayer out to the pitching circle and realizing a potentially dicey situation here against a team that just hung 11 runs on them in a run-ahead rule shortened first game, and some anxious moments here for her team that well documented by the two of us in game one. 13 out of 23 are freshmen, and you don't want them to fold like a house of cards here, seeing that there's bases loaded and only one out. So Mayer trying to give them a little pep talk as the number 8 hitter McKenna DiMartino steps into the batter's box for the Spartans.
You know, when this Tampa offense gets going, when it rains like the weather here in Tampa, it pours. You mentioned Tampa known for just big innings where they'll jump for 4, 5, or even more runs, just capitalizing off a couple moments of weakness to just get a wildfire going on offense.
DiMartino able to draw ball 1. And now swings. It's a good hold of that one. It'll be caught out in center field. The runner tags up, comes home from third. And Mariah Galehouse gives the home team their first run of game 2. Alexa Russo now at second.
It's big for the Spartans to at least score 1 run here.
Keep in mind, Devin Hammonds is over at first as Kenzie Reynolds, the number 9 hitter, ahead in the count here, 1-0. And another one to center field, and very active, Freshie, as the Spartans do get a run across, however. There was 1 run on 1 hit. There was 1 error by the Cougars and 2 Spartans runners left on base. We're through 2 innings at the Nimoli Family Stadium. Spartans lead at 1-0. We'll be back with more after this on TampaSpartans.tv. Mariah Galehouse done with her warm-up pitches. And the Cougars, they just had a very active Brooke Freshie out in center field, and now here she is to bat in the top of the third. Her first plate appearance of this second game of the doubleheader. And a drive that Abby Salt handles herself. And Freshie is out number 1 in the top of the third.
Good defensive grab there by Solt. Just a very nonchalant pickup with the glove. And that's a very good play over at first base. It's not always the position that's the most required defensively. Usually you put a player who's very good at batting and not as good at fielding there. But, you know, having someone that's also good at flashing the glove and making plays like that can be very useful, primarily when you've got a situation like that.
This is Jessica Klein. And strike 2 to her. Klein falls behind here. She's the number 9 hitter in the Cougars' order. As Galehouse looks for her second strikeout of the game. Won't get it on that pitch as it goes to 1-2.
Klein's one of the upperclassmen for this Caldwell team and was able to enter the game to go 1 for 2.
Nicely played by Russo over to first in time. Good base running by Klein. And that's 2 outs for the Cougars here in the top of the third. And that'll bring us to the top of the order. Mackenzie Nazional. Bounces it. Stays fair. Galehouse over to Solt for out number 3. Caldwell retired very quickly there in the top of the third. No runs, no hits, no Spartan errors, and no Cougars runners left on base. Back with more softball after this on TampaSpartans.tv. The top of the order for the Spartans, starting the bottom of the third. Left fielder Lauren Fantone to the plate. She flew out to center field in her lone at-bat that started the game. And now sees ball 1 here in the bottom of the third. Spartans 1 run on 1 hit. Caldwell no runs, 2 hits. As Fantone sees ball 2 from pitcher Haley Fisher. Nicely hit ball by Fantone. That one's going to drop, and it will be at least 1 extra base. It is. Standing up with a double is Lauren Fantone to start off the bottom of the third. And just as I was about to say that Caldwell has to feel good about themselves when you consider that the bottom of the second in the first game is where the Spartans really blew things open. This time only held them to 1 run. And now we're in the bottom of the third, a 1-run Spartans lead. However, nobody out and a runner on second as Lily Keister to the plate.
Certainly a little more pressure now here for the Caldwell defense.
Keister fouls that one way out of play.
It was 8-0 at this stage of the game in the previous matchup. But Tampa, a long ways to go to try to get back to that scoreline. And Fisher still looking pretty solid out there. Even though she missed the first 2 offerings, does coax a first strike this time.
Keister gets under that one. Called for and caught. A diving effort there by Ashley Tavaska. So 1 down in the bottom of the third. Lauren Fantone still on second base as Kenna Kreidler to the plate. Struck out looking in the first inning. The Spartans catcher. And here's Fisher's first pitch to her. And catches the strike zone. A nice little curve. Kreidler waiting and looks at that one for ball 1.
A good take there for Kreidler. Her discipline has been really great this season with an over .450 on base percentage.
Now Fisher ready to go. Fouled back by Kreidler. Kreidler, the number 3 hitter, Mariah Galehouse waiting on deck. And that one goes way outside for a ball. Interesting to see The catcher, Juju Gonsalves, tried to frame that one to coax the umpire in, and she would have had to have moved her arm considerably. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Swung on, fielded nicely at shortstop, over to first in time. And Fantone advances to third, bringing up Mariah Galehouse, although 2 outs now. Galehouse walked in the second inning. That one's in the dirt. And the 1-0, Galehouse takes for ball 2.
And Galehouse did not see a strike in her previous at-bat against Fisher. Wonder if she will right here. Always a good opportunity, though, when you're a pitcher and you're at the plate. You have a chance to give yourself some run support.
Galehouse drilled that one foul down the third base line. Two balls, 1 strike. Galehouse watches that one end up in the dirt. A runner on third, 2 outs in the bottom of the third. And Galehouse smashes that one to left field, going back and hits the fence. Galehouse is going to go for 3 and goes in standing up with an RBI triple. Mariah Galehouse with a terrific shot to left. The Spartans increase their lead to 2-0.
You know, Bruce, in any other ballpark, that would be a no-doubt home run. It barely stays in the confines of the Namoli Family Stadium, though.
And speaking of players that can hit the ball, Alexa Russo to the batter's box. So an instant replay of sorts in that they're still 2 outs and still a runner on third, albeit in the person of Mariah Galehouse. Now there's one to left field by Russo and caught for out number 3, but not before the Spartans get another run. 1 run on 2 hits, no Cougars errors, and 1 runner left on base. 2-0 now in favor of the Spartans after 3 complete. Back with more softball after this on TampaSpartans.tv. Ready to start the top of the 4th inning. Spartans in the lead 2-0 for Caldwell. It will be Grace Vondracek, the second base player, leading off the top of the 4th, and hits the first ball to DiMartino, and not going to be played to first. And so the Cougars have a base runner by way of an error to start the 4th inning.
Unfortunate there for DiMartino. Just took a weird hop and instead of going to her glove, kind of gets caught in her arm, and there's just no chance for her to make the transfer for a throw. Doesn't really lose it, but that also unfortunately does count as an error against the freshman.
So Brooke Martin, the hitter now, shoots that one foul down the third base line.
Caldwell kind of adapting to the strike-heavy approach from Galehouse. This season she's really focused on filling the zone, painting the corners, not getting behind in counts, and Caldwell kind of responding with early swings like this.
Fouls off another one on the third base line. Vondracek, the runner, over at first. This is game 2 of a doubleheader that saw the Spartans end the first one early on the run-ahead rule, 11-0 the final. Galehouse's 0-2 pitch swung on to left field. Back goes Fantone, settles under it, and caught for out number 2. Excuse me, out number 1. And it's Lindsay Aller to the plate for the Cougars. 1 out, a runner on first. And Galehouse sees that one go outside. Tried to get her at first. Kreidler was keeping a close eye on Vondracek. Not able to get the Cougars base runner.
As she ought to, because Vondracek does have 6 stolen bases this season, and you see her taking massive leads every single time.
And there's a base hit as Vondracek was off to the races, and they end up holding her back at second after she looked like she wanted to turn the corner and keep going. Runners on first and second for Caldwell here in the top of the 4th.
Shades of Chusei Mandami out in right field for the Spartans with Devin Hammond's throw. That was perfectly placed on a bouncing line drive to the third base player, and that prevented the Caldwell base runner from turning 2 to make it to third.
Ashley Tavaska, the number 5 hitter in the Caldwell order. 1 out in the top of the 4th, runners on first and second, and some momentum, if you will, for Caldwell here, some optimism, and bunts that one foul.
Yeah, first pitch was a check swing, and Travaska was initially called a ball by Serafin, but Kreidler asked for the second opinion, and Christopher Wood says no, she went around, so took what would have been 1-1 now to 0-2.
And that one called a ball. And Ashley Tavaska looking down the third baseline at her coach, Lindsay Mayer. The 1-2 pitch from Galehouse and goes foul down the third baseline as Alexa Russo was at the ready defensively.
Would have been a very tough double play, but Russo would have got the lead runner out at third, was able to pick it up and just take the easy force out.
Another 1-2, and Tavaska, a shot that's fielded cleanly, and the out at first as the runners advance, although 2 outs now in the top of the 4th. So a fielder's choice brings us to Maddie Matosky. And Matosky singled in the first and bounces one here. That's dropped and not in time. So Maddie Matosky is safe, and Caldwell gets a run across.
That is unfortunate for the Spartans. This took a weird hop away from Reynolds. Not only does it put Caldwell within 1, it ends what was a 25-plus inning scoreless streak from the Spartans.
That'll bring up Gonsalves, who is out on the first pitch. Caldwell putting up a fight here in game 2 of this doubleheader. Now trailing 2-1 as we head to the bottom of the 4th inning. It will be first base player Abby Salt leading off for the Spartans. She is 0 for 1.
This has been the response that Caldwell's desperately needed. They actually score a run against the Spartans, something that didn't happen at all during the last 2 doubleheader series for Tampa. They were perfect with some dominant outings. Actually, they did concede 2 runs against West Liberty, but then a 6-0 win, 6-0 win, and 8-0 win in 5 innings. So, good for Caldwell to sort of get on the board here at least once here in the series, and they've kept this a ball game primarily as well because Fisher's been great in the circle.
2 balls, no strikes to Abby Salt. And popped up, called for, and Aller comes in to make the catch. Devin Hammonds to the plate for the Spartans. And Taylor, if you go back to the start of this month, March 1st specifically, Spartans gave up 0 runs, then 2, then 2, then 0, then 0, then 0, then 0. And finally, Caldwell scoring here in the top of the 4th.
Yeah, Tampa's only had 2 games where they've given up more than 3 runs this season, or actually 3 games, but that's just a testament to how strong Tampa's pitching has been.
Hammonds bounces that one. It's going to be over to first and wild, and so Devin will go to second base, and she is aboard to start off the bottom of the 4th inning after having singled in the 2nd, and that'll bring up McKenna DiMartino.
Yeah, life's really good for your defense when you've only conceded 35 runs in over 150 innings.
There's a wild pitch that's going to advance Devin Hammonds to third. Initially, I thought it had grazed the batter, DiMartino. Not the case, as it rolled all the way to the backstop. So with 1 out, the Spartans leading 2-1 and have a runner on third. And DiMartino bounces that one foul. Next pitch on the way. DiMartino smacks that one to center field. Back it goes, off the wall, and the run will score as DiMartino makes the turn and slides into third with an RBI triple to make it 3-1.
DiMartino started the season strong at the plate, kind of cooled down throughout the rest of February, but so far in March has really started to heat up, really started to find her groove, getting on base with some pretty clean drives, just like that one over Freshie's head.
And the Cougars players want to talk things over as you see them gather in the pitching circle. And McKenna DiMartino draws congratulations from her coach, Leslie Cantor, over at third base, as the Spartans have put themselves in a nice position here with only one out and a runner on third and a 2-run lead. They have scored once in 3 consecutive innings now, and we are at the bottom of the order. And second base player Kenzie Reynolds. Reynolds with a shot that's going to drop for a base hit, and DiMartino will score to make it 4-1. And Kenzie Reynolds really made it look easy as the home team slowly starting to pull away here as they go back to the top of the order with Lauren Fantone, who doubled in her last at-bat.
Momentum's really shifted towards the Spartans here, getting those 2 runs back-to-back, and there's still only one out. Still time for the Spartans offense to continue.
A real timely response after Caldwell had cut it to a 2-1 deficit. Really nice bunt laid down by Fantone as you see Reynolds dive back over to second to give the Spartans runners at first and second, still just the one out, and center fielder Lily Keister to the plate.
Tampa's really benefited when they have laid these sacrifice bunts down on just not perfect fielding from the Cougars. You know, sometimes there'll be missed throws or they'll be a little slow to get to the ball. Just really doing a great job when they need to advance.
And that one gets away and the runners advance. And the momentum really swinging the way of the Spartans now. 2 runners in scoring position with only one out.
This is where it gets tough as well for Fisher in the circle, where things are starting to fall apart a little. You know, the momentum is kind of getting away from you. It's easy to really sort of stay focused and stay locked in when things go well.
Keister with a well-hit ball, and they're going to send the runner home, and slides in safely. A nice piece of base running there by Kenzie Reynolds as Leslie Cantor gave her the green light. And the Spartans' lead now grows to 5-1.
Didn't drop for a blooper, but Keister still scores a run in that play. Credit to Reynolds for beating the throw from left field. Wasn't a long throw from Nat Cianal, but still was able to slide in right before it landed.
Yeah, you have to wonder if Leslie Cantor is saying we're not going to take any chances at all. We saw that Caldwell can score on us. It got a little too close for comfort at 2-1. We're just going to go for the jugular. Sends the runner home. And in the process, Tampa's lead grows to 5-1. 2 outs. Runner on third. That is Lauren Fantone. This is Kenna Kreidler in the batter's box. Kreidler gets underneath that one. And the catch made in center field for out number 3. But not before the Spartans get 3 runs on 4 hits. There was 1 Caldwell error and 1 Spartan runner left on base. After 4 complete, the Spartans lead at 5-1. Back with more softball after this on TampaSpartans.tv. Spartans lead 5-1. I'm Bruce Wozniak alongside Taylor Stolworthy as the home team trying to stretch their winning streak to 19 games. And Caldwell still trying to get into the win column for the first time this season. We'll have their 8, 9, and 1 hitters here in the top of the 5th. And that means Brooke Freshy to the plate. 0 for 1 in this game.
You know, this is already a historic win streak for the Spartans, starting what has been an incredible 2025 campaign. And, you know, they're in a good position to potentially tie the all-time record, but that is definitely not on the minds of the players and for Coach Cantor. Whenever teams are on these types of win streaks, you know, it's always important to keep sort of a 1-0 mentality, a next team up, a next player up mentality, not to dwindle on the success, but to focus on what's next, to keep things fresh. And for the Spartans, they just have to treat this inning like it's a tie game. They don't have to say, oh, it's a 4-run lead, we feel comfortable. No, they have to treat it like they still have to be perfect and they still have to shut the Cougars down.
No balls, 2 strikes, and that one called for a ball. Brooke Freshy stays alive. Top of the 5th, 1-2. And Freshy nicely played over at first base by Abby Salt for out number 1. Salt is having herself a nice little day over there at first base defensively. And that'll bring up the number 9 hitter, Jessica Klein. Klein 0 for 1 in this game. Grounded out to third in the 3rd. And now swings at that one for a base hit to left field. Jessica Klein aboard for Caldwell, and that'll take them back to the top of the order. And their leadoff hitter, Mackenzie Nacional. She is 0 for 2 in this game, both times grounding out to Galehouse, that being the 1st and 3rd innings. And now the 0-1. And that one goes foul back to the screen. And Taylor, with the way that Galehouse is pitching and the Spartans' bats coming alive, you have to start to say that the clock is ticking on Caldwell as you see Nacional fly out to left field for out number 2.
I mean, it certainly is. Obviously, you take a look, they've got 7 outs to try to find the 4 runs, but, you know, they don't have too many chances when they have a runner on base. Gale is not the type of player to concede too many base runners. So whenever they get someone aboard, you know, an even smaller timer kind of starts for them to try to make the most of it, because against the Spartans team, runs are few and far between to come by. You have to convert when you're given the chance, and Caldwell joins a list of teams who kind of struggle to for the most part.
This is Grace Vondracek. She struck out looking in the 1st and then reached on an error in the 4th. And they do have a runner at first, but 2 outs. And so Taylor, as you mentioned, 7 outs away, needing to get 4 runs. And the time is now with that runner aboard as that one goes foul down the 3rd baseline. Head coach Lindsay Mayer remains hopeful from her number 2 hitter, Vondracek, the second base player, as Galehouse ready with her next offering, and that one's way up high for a ball.
Now that's to try to set up the slow changeup, go with a high fastball, and then give something that looks just like it to make them freeze.
Right to Russo for out number 3, a heads-up catch by the 3rd base player. So no runs for the Cougars on 1 hit. There were no Spartan errors, and 1 Cougars runner left on base. Score remains 5-1 Spartans. We'll be back with the bottom of the 5th after this on TampaSpartans.tv. We're back, and we have a pitching change for Caldwell as Katie O'Connor is going to take over in the circle.
I think it's a smart move for Caldwell. Go to their strongest pitcher on the season, O'Connor, with 2 complete games and 3 starts and a team best 6.14 ERA on the season.
Mariah Galehouse batting for the Spartans. Meanwhile, bottom of the 5th, the number 4 hitter for the home team. Galehouse walked in the 2nd and had an RBI triple in the 3rd. And now smashes that one foul out of play down the left field line.
Still have no idea how Galehouse did not get a home run on that RBI triple. Had an absolute rocket down the left field line.
Next pitch from O'Connor, and Galehouse gets underneath that one, fouled off. So this is the 3rd pitcher of the day when you take into account game 1 of the doubleheader for the Cougars. Mariah Galehouse staying alive here in the bottom of the 5th. And O'Connor's next pitch to her in the dirt for a ball, and the count goes full.
Russo on deck. Even though it's not bad to walk Galehouse, you do have another dangerous player right behind her.
And Mariah smashes that one foul over the Spartans' dugout. Three-two on the way. And Galehouse with her 2nd walk of the game. A runner aboard for the Spartans here in the bottom of the 5th, already leading 5-1. And as Taylor mentioned, that will bring up the number 5 hitter, Alexa Russo, who packs a big bat. And the Spartans are 5 for 11 in this game with a runner on, 455. And here's the first pitch to her in the dirt.
I've noticed something for Caldwell as well. They've made a change behind home plate. It's now Arlette Batista forming the battery with Katie O'Connor. So not just a change in the circle, but behind home plate too.
Galehouse goes, and Batista does not even attempt to make the throw. And the Spartans give themselves a runner in scoring position with nobody out in the bottom of the 5th. And Russo smashes that one out of play down the left field line. It lands in the Spartans' bullpen. And Taylor, that is that strength that we know that Alexa Russo has in the batter's box. O'Connor's next pitch, and Russo, that's going to be a base hit to right field as Galehouse goes to 3rd. So runners on the corners with nobody out in the bottom of the 5th.
Tampa now also has Abby Solt due up, and that is going to be very dangerous for the Spartans, given how that 4, 5, and 6 unit is incredibly strong. I mean, you've got Galehouse, Russo, and Solt all back-to-back. Normally, the heart of the order is a little bit higher up. You have it usually 3, 4, and 5, and maybe sometimes in 2 with normal kind of sabermetric ideas as we get a pinch runner for Russo, but the Spartans lineup, not only is it pretty much 9 players deep, you've got some legitimate superstars down at 5 and 6 in the order for the Spartans.
Indeed. And Bella Campbell is going in to run at first base for Alexa Russo. Freshman from Waco, Texas. And meanwhile, as Taylor mentioned, Abby Solt in the batter's box. She is 0 for 2 in this game. Flew out to center in the 2nd and then popped out to 3rd in the 4th, and look out. And the throw down to 2nd is cut off. And now the run is going to come home as Galehouse crosses the plate to extend the Spartans' lead to 6-1.
And that is sort of, you could argue, almost the freshman mistake behind home plate. Whenever you're in a runners at the corner situation and someone steals second, unless you are sure that you're going to get the out at second, you always want to hold on to the ball, because if the throw barely gets away, it just gives a green light for the runner at third to make it home. And there, it got tipped away by Tavaska, and Galehouse said, "Don't mind if I do," strolling the final 60 feet to the plate.
Swing and a miss by Salt there, as the count at 1-1. And Abby looks at that one. 2 balls, 1 strike. So that's the pinch runner, Bella Campbell, on second base now. And high and outside for ball 3. And Salt draws the base on balls. And things potentially going from bad to worse for Cougars pitcher Katie O'Connor, as there's nobody out, hard to believe, and runners on first and second as Devin Hammonds to the plate for the Spartans.
This was not what Caldwell were hoping for to start the new inning. They brought in a new pitcher because, it was definitely looking like the Spartans were starting to have Fisher's number dialed up. They knew what Fisher was going to offer, and they were starting to capitalize on it. So they go to the more experienced arm, the sophomore of O'Connor, but Tampa immediately adapts and has just been stellar to start the inning, really not doing much wrong and even forcing another couple miscues from the Cougars defense.
Devin Hammonds is 2 for 2 in this game, a pair of singles. And the Spartans have now put up 1 or more runs in 4 consecutive innings to build this 6-1 lead. Hammond's ready. Next pitch on the way from Katie O'Connor, and that one is up high for a ball. Hammond's back in. O'Connor winds, delivers, and a slapper, and they tag the runner and throw to first for the double play. So some good heads-up fielding there by Caldwell to kind of exhale a little bit.
Yeah, Vondracek making a huge defensive play there. It's not the craziest of difficulty, but if that slips past her, 2 aboard and a run scores on the play. So that is just very, very good stop there to get, as well, the 2 outs.
McKenna DiMartino swings and misses. And keep in mind that Bella Campbell over on third base for the Spartans. And that one low for ball 1. DiMartino had the RBI triple in the 4th. She also had a sacrifice in the 2nd RBI. 2 of them for her in this game. And the 2-1. And she sends that one foul down the left field line.
Yeah, DiMartino's already had a few chances with runners in scoring position today, and would love to bring home a third.
And that one goes outside. And McKenna DiMartino, full count to her. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. A runner on third for the Spartans. Pitch on the way. And a base hit that will score. Bella from third. And the Spartans increase their lead to 7-1 as Bella Campbell crosses home plate with the 2nd run of this bottom of the 5th. And to the bottom of the order we go with Kenzie Reynolds. She has an RBI herself, courtesy of a single in the 4th inning. She also flew out to center in the 2nd. 7-1 now our score.
Reynolds really has underrated power. That fly out to center field was a really deep fly ball that in some D2 ballparks would have been a home run, but of course, Namoli Family Stadium is a cavern and very unfriendly to power hitters unless you put it in the gap or over the head of an outfielder.
Katie O'Connor disappointed in herself with that last pitch. Saw her shaking her head out in the pitching circle. 1 ball, 2 strikes against Kenzie Reynolds. And that one outside and low for ball 2. Follows that one off. In a situation like this, your team up 7-1. You can afford to be a little bit more fussy. If you take a pitch, it ends up being called a strike. It's not going to hurt your team. As the Spartans seem to be in the driver's seat of this one, 6 outs to go. When Caldwell comes to bat, as that one's popped up, called for, and off the screen it goes, though. And as a result, Reynolds will stay alive here in the bottom of inning number 5.
That's what's really good for the Spartans here. They can be a little more patient. They don't need to focus on getting a big outcome here. It obviously would help, but, they can really force O'Connor to get more aggressive in the circle by fouling things away, just focusing on getting contact. And
next pitch on the way, popped up and caught for out number 3. Spartans do more damage, though. 2 runs on 2 hits. There was 1 Cougar error and 1 Spartan runner left on base. We are through 5 complete. The Spartans lead at 7-1. We'll be back with more after this on TampaSpartans.tv. Back here at the Namoli Family Stadium, the Spartans have increased their lead to 7-1. And Taylor, a troublesome stat for Caldwell head coach Lindsay Mayer. Her team has now committed, if you take into account the first game of this doubleheader, which was shortened by the run-ahead rule, they've now committed 5 errors over 10 innings.
Yeah, and that's not great for defense. I mean, obviously you've got a young team, so it's to be expected they'll make a couple of little miscues here and there, but when you're trying to get on the win column, you're trying to make an upset, there's a nice base hit, but you can't really afford too many of those errors.
All the way to center field it goes, and with a stand-up double is Brooke Martin to lead off the top of the 6th. But you said a couple miscues here and there. This is more than a couple here and there, and something that head coach Lindsay Mayer is going to really have to work on quickly with these young players, as you see what can happen in the way that both of these games have gotten away from them.
Yeah, just a couple errors in a certain inning, just one or twice, too, and it just opens the door for the Spartans. You give them a little bit of room, and they will make you pay.
Yeah, they will kick the door open. This is Lindsay Aller at the plate, by the way, for Caldwell. And we're going to see a pinch runner for the Cougars. In the meantime, Aller behind 0-1 in the count in this at-bat. Fouls that off.
We see Weiss in the game as a pinch runner. Caldwell, I think, just kind of focusing on trying to score this run right here. At least make it a 5-run deficit and give yourself a little extra room to work with. Because they do have a long way to go, but they also need somewhere to start. That's a strike 3 call.
It's interesting because the home plate umpire is calling her out. We can hear his call all the way up here, and it looked as though Aller thought that she got hit and took herself over to first base, and you see her only now finally succumbing to the umpire's ruling and leaving the first base bag.
Yeah, she leaned a little too far forward. Counts as a strike against her, and that's out number 1.
And so Ashley Tavaska out at first on the first pitch. The throw over to third is wild, and it rolls into outfield. And so Weiss crosses home plate, and the Cougars do get themselves another run.
Yeah, not what you wanted there for the Spartans. I mean, a good throw from Solt to third, but was a little too high and just got away from Russo. And it took a couple of weird bounces off the fence away from Fantone, who did a good job to track back and cover. Good news for Gallus, gets the second out. Bad news, though, the base runner makes it home.
So the score is now 7-2 for the Spartans. And swung on and missed. The batter is Maddie Matkoski, the designated player. She singled in the second and reached on an error in the fourth. 2 balls, 1 strike. And to short, DiMartino over to first for out number 3. But not before Caldwell gets on the board. 1 run on 1 hit. There was 1 Spartan error. No Cougars runners left on base. We are through 5.5. The Spartans lead at 7-2. We'll be back with more after this on TampaSpartans.tv. Back here at the Namoli Family Stadium, Spartans on their way. 3 more outs once Caldwell comes back to the plate in the top of the 7th. And they are that much closer to their 19th straight victory. In the meantime, the Spartans will try to do something about it offensively with their bats, beginning at the top of the order with Lauren Fantone, who is 2 for 3 in this game. And Katie O'Connor from the circle sends in ball 1.
And Tampa would love to get back on the board here after conceding a run. When they did concede back in the 4th inning, Tampa responded with a 3-run bottom of the 4th to make it 5-1. And that's what's seen them score 5 runs over the last 2 innings.
You saw the strike call there by home plate umpire Brian Serafin. O'Connor delivers, and Fantone smashes that one over towards the Caldwell dugout.
That's unfortunate for Fantone, just kind of an instinct protective swing. Did get good contact, but if she pulled back, that could have grazed her if it went a little further inside, or just would have kept her ahead 2-1.
And Fantone takes that one up high for a ball. O'Connor ready. Next pitch on the way. Fantone bounces that one, and she will be out at first base on a routine ground out from Vondracek to Martin. That's the first out of the bottom of the 6th inning.
You know, slow rollers can be close, but just out by half a step there as Callie Sisk gets a chance at the plate for the Spartans. She's looking for her first Spartan base hit.
Yeah, she will pinch hit in place of Lily Keister, who had been hitting second.
Another wrestling theme song, this time Rey Mysterio's, as Tampa, I think, securing just the lineup change real quick. Getting ready to go with Tampa's number 47.
And here comes the pitch to Sisk. Ball 1.
And so far, she hasn't had a hit this season, only 2 tries at the plate, but this would be a great time to get aboard.
Ball 2 to Sisk. Next pitch is swung on. To right field it goes. And the catch made by Jessica Klein. So 2 outs for the Spartans here in the bottom of the 6th. And we're going to see yet another change as Kenna Kreidler will be pinch hit for by Callie Perillo.
Yeah, Perillo also looking for her first hit of the season, coming from Holy Trinity Episcopal Academy. She gets her 3rd try this season. At that time, they had another wrestling theme song, the Stone Cold one, I believe. I know Bruce was writing down the show me thinking it was the Triple H theme song. I wouldn't be surprised if we get another base hitter replacing Mariah Galehouse if they do that one up next. It's also great for sports because the theme song is Time to Play the Game.
Callie Perillo, 1 ball, 1 strike. Base is empty for the Spartans. They lead at 7-2. And O'Connor does catch the corner of the strike zone. Callie Perillo behind here. Smashes that one to third, bobbled by Aller. And safe at first is going to be Callie Perillo. And so Mariah Galehouse, the Spartans cleanup hitter, to the plate with 2 outs, her team up by 5, and a runner over at first.
And actually, they're bringing on a pinch runner. I was ready to say, are they doing a pinch hitter for Galehouse? But no, looks like she is going to get the green light to go again. But they're going to bring on Daisy Watterson as a pinch runner.
Mariah Galehouse has an RBI triple that is sandwiched between 2 base on balls as she follows that pitch down the left field line into the Spartans bullpen. Walked in the 2nd, walked in the 5th, and that RBI triple that I mentioned was in the 3rd inning. Here's the 0-1 to her. And the runner goes, and the throw is offline. So Daisy Watterson advancing to second base.
Tampa gets another stolen base. I think that's 25 on the season now for the Spartans. And Watterson gets her first of 2025.
And Galehouse fouls that off down the third base line.
There is a fence in front of the dugout, and good thing because that would have went right inside the dugout if there wasn't one there.
Spartans have another doubleheader at home Friday starting at 6 p.m. as Galehouse fouls that one back. Excuse me, that's a single game Friday at 6 p.m. and then a doubleheader Saturday. Palm Beach Atlantic providing the opposition for all three of those games. And in the meantime, this is game 2 of a scheduled doubleheader against Caldwell. Spartans lead 7-2. Here's the 1-2 to Mariah Galehouse with 2 outs and runner on second. And that's up high.
Yeah, Tampa's got a busy weekend here at home on spring break. They continue Sunshine State Conference play the next week on the road and then back at home for the rivalry series against Florida Southern.
And the count now full to Galehouse. Caldwell will play a doubleheader Saturday up in Wilmington, Delaware. Galehouse smashes that one foul down the left field line.
This is actually the final out-of-conference game of the regular season for the Spartans. Sunshine State Conference 3-game series the rest of the way.
The 3-2 pitch coming from Katie O'Connor. Galehouse gets under that one. To foul territory it goes and caught for out number 3. So the Spartans, no runs, no hits. There was 1 Cougar error and 1 Spartans runner left on base. Through 6 complete, the Spartans lead at 7-2. We'll be back with the top of the 7th after this on TampaSpartans.tv. Back at the Nemoli Family Stadium, the Spartans 3 outs away from closing out Caldwell and what would be a doubleheader sweep. The home team leading 7-2 as the Cougars will send their 7, 8, and 9 hitters to the plate.
That's good news for Galehouse in the circle facing the bottom of the order. They've been all right today with a 1-for-4 stat line. Batista getting her first at-bat after entering midway through as a pinch fielder behind home plate.
And Arlette Batista, strike 1.
And we've had some wrestling references before, of course. Missed opportunity for the Batista theme song here.
Oh, and that one did hit Arlette Batista on the elbow. And she trots down to first base. And there will definitely be an ice pack warranted after the game on that elbow. As we can hear that contact all the way up here. And they're going to take a quick look at Arlette Batista over at first base as we await the arrival of Brooke Freshy in the batter's box for this next at-bat for the Cougars. And Arlette Batista is going to remain in the game.
Yeah, they're giving Batista just a chance to rest at first. That's what the delay is. Just to make sure she's all right, give the trainer a chance to check up on her. And the other players and coaches meeting, I think, just try to pull attention away from it. Good news is Batista looks good to go.
Freshy ready, and Galehouse sends in strike 1 to the center fielder. Freshy's been active defensively in the outfield for Caldwell. Next pitch to her, fouled. No balls, 2 strikes.
Here at Tampa, this is an important outfield for players with range. You know, you have to travel a lot of ground here, whether it's a fly ball in the gap or over your head. It is not an easy place to play defense.
And popping up right away was Kreidler, looking at Batista over at first. And Freshy back to the batter's box with the count 1-2. And that one is going to stay fair. And they try to get the runner at third, and it's bobbled by Alexa Russo. They had her by a mile, but Russo, however, bobbled it.
That just took an awkward hop in the dirt away from Russo. It's painful because the throw was literally perfect for Hammonds. Was going to beat her by a full 3 seconds, but just as she continues to run to the bag, Batista has enough time to get there safely as it takes that weird hop away from Russo.
So with nobody out in the top of the 7th, runners on second and third for the Cougars, and the number 9 hitter, right fielder Jessica Klein, as Galehouse rings up strike 1 against her. Klein is 1 for 2 in this game, having singled in the 5th after a ground out to third in the 3rd. Bounces that one to Galehouse, who looks off the runner at third over to first base. And Klein is retired as out number 1. And the runners hold at second and third for the visitors, and that'll bring us to the top of the order. And Emily Tavaska, the left fielder for the Cougars. First pitch to her is strike 1.
That was an important out number 1 there for Galehouse, you know, and also does a great job to stare at third for a sec, keep Batista still.
Fouled off. Tavaska quickly behind 0-2. Galehouse has given up 2 runs, neither of them earned. Her 0-2 on the way, and Tavaska stays alive.
This is the most runs that Galehouse has conceded since February 22nd's appearance she had against Lynn, where she gave up 3, but rest of the year sees her start with 4 7-inning appearances in a row, 1 run allowed against Georgia Southwest, 1 run against Valdosta, 2 runs against St. Leo, and then 3 complete game shutouts back-to-back.
Tavaska to short, they throw home, and they get the runner at home, but not at third. And so some nifty defense there by McKenna DiMartino to prevent the Cougars from putting another run up on the board. And that's 2 outs here in the top of the 7th.
A little bit of a risk there from DiMartino to not get the guaranteed out, but perfect throw and an easy tag for Kreidler makes it easier for the Spartans.
Vondracek at the plate for the Cougars. I'm going to say I like the play by DiMartino. Not a ton to lose. Helps with the confidence for the youngster. Proves a little something to her coach in more ways than one. And got to be an element of pride here. Trying to limit your opponent to only 2 runs. And now 1-1 coming from Galehouse. And outside to go 2-1 on Grace Vondracek. Vondracek struck out looking in the 1st, reached on an error in the 4th, lined out to 3rd in the 5th. And strike 2 to her here in the 7th. So with runners on the corners and 2 outs, it's a 2-2 pitch coming from Mariah Galehouse. Spartans trying to lock up the victory. Popped up, called for by Reynolds, caught for out number 3, and that is 19 consecutive victories for the Spartans. They win it 7-2 and sweep the doubleheader from Caldwell University. A complete game outing from Mariah Galehouse. Final line score, 7 runs on 9 hits, 3 errors for the Spartans. 2 runs on 6 hits, 4 errors for the Cougars. the Spartans improved to 23-1. And Taylor, for Caldwell, still can't crack the win column. They fall to 0-9.
Yeah, I mean, that is absolutely rough for Caldwell. They did a lot better in this game, though, getting 6 hits past Galehouse. But 4 errors on the defensive end was what really opened the door for the Spartans. Not that the Spartans were perfect. They had 3 errors of their own. It's actually why Galehouse's ERA is now below .6, because none of the 2 runs she's given up are earned today. But still, great escape there by Galehouse at the end of the game. And even though Caldwell will now exit Florida with an 0-9 record, they've got to feel good about getting 2 runs here and generating a bit of momentum to try to carry into their weekend matchup. They'll be continuing a road trip on the road against Goldie Beacom in Delaware before heading home for a long stretch at home in the middle of March.
Yeah, if you're Caldwell, there's still some takeaways that you have to like if you're head coach Lindsey Mayer. The pitching, despite giving up 7 runs, I think it was an improvement from what they saw in Game 1. Haley Fisher and then Katie O'Connor. Still doesn't give them a win, but something to build off of. The Spartans, as I mentioned, keep the winning streak going. They will continue in action here at the Namoli Family Stadium Friday at 6 p.m. We will have that game on TampaSpartans.tv. First pitch at 6 p.m. Palm Beach Atlantic, the opponent. The next day as well, a doubleheader that will start at 12 noon. Final score in this second game, the Spartans win again, 7-2. For Taylor Stolworthy, I'm Bruce Wozniak, thanking you for watching. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday.